PRP Search Basic Training Session 3, Information Gathering. My name is Cindy Brown, and I've been an enforcement officer in Region 6 for more than 10 years. In this session, we're going to discuss the wide variety of resources that are available when gathering information about the site and the potentially responsible parties who may be involved with the site. The objectives of information gathering and records management are to develop the site history, compile financial and corporate information, identify PRPs, and document liability and viability. This work is not linear in that the size of the site, the number of times it's changed hands, the information that is readily available or not, will all contribute to the gathering process. The objective of this task is to locate and obtain copies of all records pertinent to the site and relevant to the PRP search. If a site has changed hands many times, it's going to make your search more difficult, as it will if the site has had a variety of businesses on the property. Every site is different. That's what makes this job so interesting. Set your priorities to get moving in the right direction. What's the suspected time frame of when the contamination happened? Other divisions in your regional office could already have a file on this site, possibly the state or tribe, the Railroad Commission, the Bureau of Land Management, or the Agency for Toxic Substance and Disease Registry. They could all have information which could be helpful. You just never know where the information trail is going to lead. Maybe this is not the first time the location has been on our radar. It's very possible that RCRA already has information on this location. You could be looking at one small piece of property with only a short length of time for its pollution history, or a larger site that has changed hands numerous times with a variety of pollutants attributed to various owners throughout the history of the site. I'm currently working on a site where the farther down we sampled, the pollutants changed significantly. I was also able to locate some old newspapers showing where the previous owner had been indicted in the 1940s for dumping arsenic on the property. This was very different from the contaminant on the surface, and it helped us pull in additional PRPs. Certainly the number of owners and the number of contaminants will affect your search criteria. The Portland, Oregon harbor cleanup exemplifies pretty well how complicated one cleanup site can become with numerous sources of contaminants, numerous owners, previous and current, covering a large geographical area. Plus in this site, you're cleaning up groundwater, a landfill area, and a waste treatment area. So just to get your arms around this type of site will take some time and certainly some strong organizational skills. It's always good to have in mind what type of information you're looking for and which databases may more readily provide such information. But keep your options open and just do some good old-fashioned research. And don't forget, the states often have their own databases, either through the Environmental Quality Department of the state or by their online property and assessment records. There are numerous EPA data systems available that can really get you started in gathering information. Primavera has data sharing capabilities that make it easy to find out if an individual or firm is already in the database and maybe has been named a PRP at another site. In addition to basic information of name, address, phone number on all the parties associated with the site, Primavera stores information on site enforcement history. It contains what response actions PRPs have undertaken or committed themselves to perform at the site. You'll also find information about correspondence issued by the Superfund program, such as 104E information request letters, general notice letters, and special notice letters. I would like to warn you though, garbage in, garbage out. It's up to all of us working in the enforcement area to put information into Primavera and keep it up to date and accurate. The information you and your coworkers put into Primavera about PRPs and enforcement actions will determine how useful the information is at a later date. One of the easiest sources of information is your counterparts in the RCRA program. Many Superfund sites started out as RCRA sites. Don't try to reinvent the wheel if there's already a good amount of information and documentation just one floor away. If you're not familiar with some of the databases listed here, there's no need to panic. Remember, Henry Ford didn't know everything about his specific area of expertise, but his philosophy was, I don't have to know how to do it, I just have to know someone who can help me get it done. ECHO is EPA's online information system that provides fast, integrated searches of EPA and state data for more than 800,000 regulated facilities. ECHO integrates inspection, violation, and enforcement information for the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, and hazardous waste laws. It also includes data on the Safe Drinking Water Act, Toxic Release Inventory, National Emissions Inventory, and Water Quality. ECHO stands for Enforcement and Compliance History Online. SIMS, the Superfund Enterprise Management System, is a warehouse of all Superfund documents related to a specific site. But again, if the documents haven't been filed into SIMS and are sitting on someone's desk or in a closet somewhere, then you're not going to be able to use them. EnviroFacts is a single point of access to select EPA environmental data. This website provides access to several EPA databases to provide you with information about environmental activities that may affect air, water, and the land anywhere in the United States. With EnviroFacts, you can learn more about these environmental activities in specific areas. You can generate maps of environmental information and obtain facility information, including toxic chemical releases, water discharge permit compliance, hazardous waste handling processes, Superfund status, and air emissions estimates. The ecosystem is used primarily by EPA enforcement to gather information about a facility compliance history. For all programs, toxic release inventory, air, water, RCRA, etc. It has replaced the OTIS system. The ecosystem is where all of the combined data from EPA's various databases is stored for the public. You can look up a facility and find violations, see what permitted facilities are in a certain location, find Superfund sites, etc. This is an example of a system used by the state of Texas called TRACS. As you can see, it shows the entity that received the hazardous substances, what was received, and the name of the company that sent the waste. This database of receiving entities also gives the transporter information, the date received, and the quantity of the substance received. I'm just bringing this up as an example. Many states have similar systems, which can provide you a lot of information, especially on sites where you're dealing with a lot of generators. These are all good sources of information about a facility and the business that could very well be responsible for the pollution. I recently sent a 104E information request letter to an entity that I thought was a previous owner. It turned out they were able to prove to me they were not the previous owner, but were kind enough to provide the contact information for one of the major contributors at a very large site in my region. It was like a gift fell out of the sky onto my desk. All the information that was provided by the non-PRP proved to be exact and extremely helpful. Of course, they were also very happy to get EPA to turn their focus in another direction. This is an example of an invoice from a company, in this case a country club, who shipped used motor oil to an oil recycler. It gives details of what was shipped, from whom and to whom. It gives the generator ID, and depending on the invoice design, it might also provide information on the transporter. This type of information can be obtained through the 104E information request letter or possibly by doing a site visit to review records. This information can be useful to help build a waste-in list for a specific facility. This is a copy of a hazardous waste manifest and provides much of the same information as an invoice, and even a little more. It usually gives more information about exactly what was being delivered. It may even have a waste code, depending on how the state has designed their document. Manifests are very useful to determine who sent what and to where. They're very good for evidence when you're developing information for your general notice letters and your special notice letters. It also provides transporter information. From the county clerk's office, you'll be able to get deed and title documents, information on oil and gas mineral rights, as well as information on outstanding liens and mortgages on the property. The county assessor's office helps in identifying real estate tax amounts paid and unpaid, and by whom. Plus, the assessor's office can help you identify the owners of abutting property. This may be a good source of information about the PRP, plus the on-scene coordinator often needs to contact adjoining property owners to get access for sampling. The county assessor office also can provide parcel maps, plat maps, and maps of subdivisions. There's a lot of good corporate information available on states' websites. Much of it is free. You can find names and addresses of corporate officers and registered agents, as well as information on mergers and acquisitions. It can point you to previous names the company used, which can lead to possibly a bigger net to throw out for your PRP search in the form of a 104E information request letter. Some Secretary of State websites, SOS, charge for detailed information by county, so it's always a good idea to find out if anyone else in your immediate office has access to the website for the same type of information on another site. Recently, a coworker had a phone conversation with the PRP who said the company was in dire financial condition. However, when the company contact put the enforcement officer on hold, there was a recording in the background telling of the company's international holdings and financial strength. After that, his argument really didn't hold much water, needless to say. These are just some of the various resources that are readily available to EPA employees. You may have a fairly robust regional office library, or you may want to resort to the city's public library or university library. I guess the one takeaway I want to be sure and emphasize here is think outside the box. Most likely information about your site is out there. You just might have to dig to find it. Polk directories have been a business icon for over 140 years, and they gather information by state, city, and type of business. It contains an alphabetical listing of business entities. City directories and manufacturing directories can also provide historical information about what business was in operation at what address. This is an example of a Polk directory. They are city-specific and include information regarding listings of businesses that were or are doing business and have an address in that particular city. These are just a few examples of special collections. Your state and local society may be a good place to check. MOHI is the Museum of History and Industry in Seattle. The museum includes artifacts related to local businesses and industries, locally designed and invented products, recreational equipment, and maritime objects. Again, this is just one example of information that is readily available. This is an example of a Sanborn map. It's a publisher of historical and current maps of U.S. cities and towns. These maps were initially created to estimate fire insurance risk. As you can see, it provides details of fire hydrants, walls, and other construction. The maps include outlines of each building and outbuildings, the location of windows and doors, street names, etc. Today, Sanborn maps are found primarily in the archives and special collections of town halls and public and university libraries, and remain a vital resource for people in many different fields. This is a collection of websites that could greatly assist in your PRP information gathering. It includes website listings to help your research topics, such as security and exchange filings, bankruptcy information, company profiles, corporate financial information, an administrative record database, a copy of the National Priorities List, the PRP Search Manual, Superfund Enforcement Guidance documents, government agency website addresses, the National Criminal Justice Reference Service, etc. It even includes a section on finding people, and the list goes on and on. I strongly recommend that you check out this listing and just at least be familiar with what's available that you might need for future use. It's called the PRP Internet Information Sources and is part of the PRP Search Manual. Moody's Investors Service, often referred to as Moody's, is the bond credit rating business of Moody's Corporation, representing the company's traditional line of business and its historical name. Moody's Investors Services provides international financial research on bonds issued by commercial entities. It provides information about the company's history, board members, stock issuances, etc. There are a number of fee-for-service databases which can provide detailed information about a company. CLEAR is an investigative research system that provides information about a person or business from proprietary resources and public records. Hopefully, your region has a subscription to use this service. PACER stands for Public Access to Court Electronic Records, and this is an electronic public access service that allows users to obtain case and docket information online from federal appellate, district, and bankruptcy courts, and the PACER Case Locator. PACER is provided by the federal judiciary in keeping with its commitment to provide public access to court information via a centralized service. This also is a fee-for-service database. LexisNexis Group is a corporation providing computer-assisted legal research as well as business research and risk service solution. If the enforcement group in your region doesn't have a subscription to LexisNexis, quite possibly your attorneys have access to this system. HistoricalPhotos.com is a website of information which can assist in providing information on the presence of current and former site features of interest. Also, just going to Google can provide information about a business or a specific location. Other photos may be available from the Department of Interior and from the EPA's Environmental Photographic Interpretation Center. They can help identify areas of contamination that can no longer be seen in more current photos and can help identify the nature and extent of contamination, which is useful both for enforcement and future sampling reasons. These documents all represent great ways to obtain information about an entity and should all be accessible in your office. These local organizations may all have information on a site based on responses they've been required to make to the location or just general knowledge. More than once, I've been in a local office trying to obtain information about a specific Superfund site when someone working behind the counter says, "Oh, my dad worked there for years," or something similar. Often these people are more than willing to tell you what the company has left for the city to clean up. There's a lot of information out there from other federal agencies. Oftentimes people in your office, maybe other enforcement officers, on-scene coordinators, or attorneys, have a contact to help you get started. You'd be surprised what you can find at the site location or through a 104E information request letter. Manifest and customer listings are two of the most fruitful, in my opinion, for getting information on additional PRPs. And last, but certainly not least, is organizing records. Does your region require specific file management procedures, even on working documents? Like filing information using the same format the record centers require. If there are no regional restrictions on working files, organize your records in a way that makes sense to you. For instance, by the agency where you got the documents, document type, company names, individuals associated with the site. You can manage your electronic files the very same way. You need to know the agency's record management system regardless, and the definition of a record. As the site enforcement progresses, the better organized you are, the easier it's going to be to have a successful litigation process. And don't forget to in-file all documents in the SIMS system so that others may have access to the information you've worked so hard to obtain. This concludes the session on gathering information, session 3 of the basic PRP search training. I hope you found it informative and that I've given you a few new ideas to consider when starting your PRP search and information gathering process. We'd love to get your feedback on this course, so please take a moment to fill out our survey. Please visit our website to access resources and reference materials for this session. Thank you very much.